The case report for this was in the 16th of February SHP online. The story here is this. An individual working at a stockholder's metal yard is working with some of his fellows, and they are deciding to get rid of a number of flammable materials. A fire is started, a little bit like the ones that you can sometimes hear in the background, and in order to make the thing go, the question is put to the individual, how do we accelerate it? The individual, who's the health and safety manager, says, let's use a can of flammable solvent. And those of you whose parents are anything like mine will know, as a teenager I was told, never put the deodorant can on the bonfire. A few of you are looking like, yeah, you've had the same advice from your parents. Well, that's what he did. Now, when you put a can of flammable solvent on a bonfire, even if the bonfire is only relatively minor at the time, there will be an explosion. And there was. But interestingly, the only person injured was the very man who said, put it on the bonfire. This is the same man who's the health and safety manager. How badly was he hurt? Well, the explosion and the fire was so serious that his safety helmet melted to his forehead. Imagine that. The emergency services were called, and on the way to the hospital, they had to bring him round twice. They had to resuscitate him because his condition was so serious. He was in hospital, intensive care, for 3 months, had skin grafts, suffered a lot, came back out, and then our friends at the Health and Safety Executive said, well, let's think about your actions. What does Section 7 say? Well, it says that you've got to take reasonable care both of yourself and of others. And we accept that you've suffered. However, but for the fact that it hit you, it may well have hit one of your colleagues, and it may well have killed someone. There, but for the grace of God, you could have been killed as well. And so he was prosecuted and convicted under Section 7. Now, Mr. Bridges earlier was talking about public interest factors, and here clearly the HSE didn't feel that there were sufficient public interest factors to stop the prosecution. He appeared before Mr. Justice Hayward Smith QC, where his actions were described as being extremely foolish, but nevertheless he was sentenced to 4 months in prison, but that was suspended for 2 years. That is the first prison sentence for Section 7. Now, what do we learn from that? What we learn is that even if you've been injured personally, the attitudes are hardening. Because it's always been the case that when people like Kevin and Rob, who we're going to hear later, are defending people, if someone's been really badly mangled in the incident, we normally say there will be some leniency. But what this case shows us, and it's only 3 months old, that those attitudes are hardening. And that's an interesting message for you to take back.